And so here's Jesus. Jesus is the son of Abraham. In fact, reading last Wednesday the genealogy of Jesus, it begins with Abraham. And Abraham is a very important figure in the Old Testament. He's the patriarch. He is the first person God called and sent him out and led him to the Canaan land and gave him that blessing that this land would be your land, and from your descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky, or as numerous as the sand on the shore. And with that promise, though, God more or less reaffirmed in Abraham that from his descendants, from his seed, will come a child that was promised long ago to Adam and Eve. And so how is Jesus still the son of Abraham? And it ties in really well with that story that the kids just read, the story of Abraham and Isaac. Isaac was that promise, that heir that God was going to give to Abraham and his wife Sarah, that they will have a son, and again from Isaac and onward will come this numerous descendants. But they waited such a long time for Isaac to be born. Sarah was barren, they never had their own children. They were getting quite old and really beyond that age of having kids. Which now I think about it says, man, that was really nice of God. Man, when you're 90, the last thing you want to do is raise a little kid. But they were very happy and joyful to have this child born unto them named Isaac. And Isaac was precious to Abraham. He was so precious. And just all our parents here, I mean, think of your own child. How precious is your child to you? And we know as parents, we will do a lot for our children. In fact, we do a lot for our children to keep them safe, to keep them well, to keep them healthy, to keep them educated and well-rounded. We do a lot for our kids. We sacrifice for a lot for our kids, right? I know I did. I actually had to do more sacrifice than I just go along with it. Anyway, but we do a lot for our kids because we love our kids. Our kids are precious to us, and that is the exact same thing for Abraham and Sarah. Isaac is their precious child. But when Isaac got, say about 10, 11, 12, around that age, just a young boy still, God comes to Abraham and he tells Abraham about the worst thing God can tell you. He tells Abraham, Abraham, I want you to take your son, your only son, and I want you to sacrifice him unto me. That's horrible. It's terrifying. And the thing is, at that time, you think, wow, that's kind of extreme, God, sacrificing a child, having someone sacrifice a child. And the thing is, back in Abraham's time, actually, it was I don't want to say common practice like everyone's doing it, but it was a practice that was done of sacrificing your children. The Ammonites, the Canaanites, especially the Ammonites that had a god named Moloch. And that was the custom, that you would take your child and you would sacrifice that child to that god to receive a blessing, to receive a good harvest, a good life, that you would do the ultimate thing and give up your child to that God. And now here comes the true God, Yahweh, and he's asking Abraham the same thing. How terrifying that is. And the thing is, why child? And you think about it. Again, what's the most precious things that we have? What's the one thing that you cannot give up? And I hope and pray you say it's your children. I'll give up all my money, I'll give up my house, I'll give up my health, I'll give up my own life before I ever give up the life of my children. And I'm pointing over here at this camera sitting here. He looks bored as they really listen to me. But even then, I would do so much for him. For all my children. And I know every parent here, every grandparent, I know you feel the same way. And so what God was demanding Abraham was the ultimate sacrifice, the most painful sacrifice. And why Abraham? Why did he have to sacrifice so much? And the bottom line is, because he didn't deserve Isaac. He was a sinful man. And that's the thing about sin, that these sacrifices that people offer to gods, even this burnt offerings or animal sacrifices or grain offering, or whatever sacrifice it was always something precious to show God that I need your forgiveness, I need your mercy, I need your blessing. And it's because of our sins. It's because we rebel against God. It's because we don't listen to God. We don't listen to His Word. It comes with a price. And sometimes that price is so expensive, it means your own son, your only son, your only begotten son. And what did Abraham do? Out of faithfulness to God, he took Isaac. But I have to say that out of faithfulness, Abraham knew that God will provide. God had to provide because he had that promise of a different son who will come to redeem the world. But he took Isaac, and he took him to the mountain. And he took Isaac up to the mountain with the wood and with the knife, of all the supplies. And they got to the top of that mountain, and he began to build an altar. And after the altar was done, he laid all the wood on top of the altar. And then he took his son, and he bound him up with rope. He laid him on the altar. And he even took the knife, and he raised the knife over his head. And I'm sure all this time, Abraham's thinking in the back of his head, okay, God, now's the time. I know you do something. You have to do something. And when there's nothing left for Abraham to do other than take that knife into his son, God calls out to him and says, Abraham, Abraham, stop. You do not have to give up your son. And there in the thicket was a ram. And he took that ram, and that's what he used as a sacrifice and an offering to the Lord. And at the end, though, if he caught it, he named that mountain that the Lord will provide. And I asked the kids this question this morning, and I was quite impressed they got it right because, let's face it, our kids are very impressive. They're very smart. You guys are great parents. We have a great school, great teachers. I should never be surprised, but I still get surprised. But I asked the question, what did God mean that He will provide? And it wasn't the ram. It wasn't the animal. And one little girl, I don't know who said it, said God was saying that He's going to provide the ultimate sacrifice by giving up His Son to us. See, that's the thing about Abraham and Isaac. His sacrifice of his child would not have forgiven his sins. It would have been a tremendous sacrifice. It would have been a tremendous gift to God, but even then, it would never have been enough to forgive Abraham's sins. In fact, there is nothing of us that we can do to earn that right, to earn that love of God. That's why God said to Abraham, He says to all of us, your sacrifices cannot mount up to forgiveness. But that's okay. Because I'm going to give you my son. And his sacrifice would be the one that will cover all of us and make us clean once again. So who is Jesus? Who's this person that we celebrate here in a couple weeks as we come upon December 25th? He's the one who came for us. And as we read there in Matthew, as he writes this to James and John that, hey, I did not come to be served. I didn't come to get glory. I didn't come to get popular and become rich and famous and make a new palace in Jerusalem. I didn't come for any of that stuff. I came for you. I came to give up everything. I came to give up my life so that the world can once again have that gift of life in themselves. That, my brothers and sisters, is the greatest gift that's given to us come Christmas. The gift of one who will sacrifice himself for you, for me. Amen.